Look at when there's great geopolitical conflict, there becomes the necessity to go from a consumer-based economy to a more directed economy of how do you use the resources. If people just get rich and buy expensive things like expensive handbags and so on, and it's not directed, you're not going to have the country be competitive. In the AI world, you have to build infrastructure. You have to build sources of energy. So it has always been at similar times the bringing in industrial policies, as we call them, in order to create that direction. And so, for example, in AI and related technologies, quantum computing and the like, it's quite typical in history to see what's now happening in terms of the competition, or let's call it the tech war between the United States and China, because the tech war is also related to the military war. Whoever wins is going to win everything.
Ray, what about geography over the last 25 years in terms of financial markets? Where have there been surprises in some regions growing a lot, maybe unexpectedly, or others diminishing? And I think, for example, of the contrast between the Middle East on the one hand, where you've been very active, and Europe.
It has to do with immigration and migration. There's been a dramatic change in the population and the politics of what it means, that it's become even cultural. So I would say, the movements of people, or even the changes in the numbers, that demographics. In other words, Europe, the United States, China, a number of these countries, which generally speaking, what we would think of as the developed world, for the most part, although it includes China, have declining populations. And in the emerging world, the global south as we come, they have growing populations that want to migrate. And that's connected to climate change, because as climate change creates greater heat and so on in these areas, it drives migration. And so as we're looking at the migration and the immigration issues, they become greater issues. I think if you just look at the administration's new report on its strategic objectives and the way it views the world, you can see that there are even cultural issues. In other words, which are the areas that maintain their culture, or do they have migration issues? So these are geopolitical issues that are all connected.
I suspect if we talked to you 25 years ago, you would have predicted China would be a major force. Would you have predicted that the Gulf, Saudi Arabia and the surrounding countries, would become as prominent as they have?
Basically, all you need is three things to happen to have a successful country. First, educate your children well so that they can be productive and earn incomes, and that they're civil with each other. And then second, if they come out to a country where people can work well to be productive, and that there are financial resources like the capital markets to be able to be productive, and everybody earn, and in other words, the basics, earn more than you spend and have more assets than liabilities. If you're financially sound and productive and civil with each other, that's key. And then stay out of wars. Stay out of internal conflicts, that when you have that internal conflict or an internal war of sorts or an international war, that's a problem. So some of these places, I can see that over maybe now I see it better than I saw maybe 25 years ago.